So this is basically a little different format, kind of like a book club format where we'll discuss about mental toughness. And I've always thought that being mentally tough is a huge part of tennis. There's a cliche, tennis is 80% mental and 20% the rest of it, like technique and forehands and backhands. I actually think it's a little bit more than that. I think it's pretty much 90%. 90% of tennis is pretty much mental. And, for the past 3 days, we've been working on our forehands, our backhands, practicing that, our serves, warming up. We should do that with the mental game too. So I don't know if you guys saw Drew Brees. There was this video of him just working out by himself in the football field. And he was just alone. Someone was videotaping it, recording it. I don't think Drew Brees knew that there was someone there. And if you don't know Drew Brees, he's a football quarterback of the New Orleans Saints. And he was just there by himself, no football, just the field itself. And he was doing what you should call mental reps, mental repetitions, just like you do forehand repetitions, backhand repetitions, practicing that. He's doing mental repetitions just so he is focused in the game when, he could, when he's in the game in that situation, he is prepared. And he was doing that for maybe 45 minutes, maybe in an hour. I don't know when that guy started recording, but, it's not uncommon actually, for some people who don't know sports or don't know the work ethic that comes into playing professionally. That is it. Sometimes you're just alone by yourself on a field or on the tennis court, just working on your mental reps. And mental toughness is a big part of it. Okay. So we'll go through reading. Any initial comments or questions about this? Okay, so this is mental toughness, 8 ways to be mentally tough. And we'll start out with chapter 1. And I wrote this just recently, maybe about a year ago. But I started working on this book probably 4 years ago already. And, I just, wrote a chapter pretty much every 2 months. Something got me inspired and I wrote it. Okay. So here's chapter 1, commit to the winning process. And I'll go ahead and read it. And you could read along here. Hopefully you could see it on my screen here. Okay. Commit to the winning process. During my first season as boys' head tennis coach for St. Ignatius College Preparatory in San Francisco, I knew I was in for a rough start. Although I had been playing tennis for 30 years, upon the time I took over as head coach, I lacked experience in actual coaching. I asked myself, how do I organize and discipline a group of young, talented, yet rowdy teenagers into a winning tennis team? Our preseason practices were lacking focus. I felt some of my players were not playing up to a high standard. It seemed like everyone was just fooling around. I suppose kids will be kids, but I needed to come up with something fast. That something was the winning process. It worked. The winning process helped motivate my players consistently perform at their best. It significantly improved the team from a 6-11 record the previous year to an 11-4 winning record. The winning process automated teamwork, accountability, and high standard of play. The idea of the winning process originated from the time I took Buddhist and Eastern philosophy classes at San Francisco State University. I was always fascinated with how early Buddhists viewed the self as a process. So to understand the winning process, we must first take a look at the two words individually, process and winning. Let's first start with process. In Philosophy of the Buddha, author Christopher Gowans best explains my view of a process. A process is not a thing, entity, or being, but an event, activity, or becoming. As a movement, a process has an important temporal character. It involves a continuous passage of becoming from past to present to future. When I say process, envision a whirlpool. A whirlpool is simply rotating mass of water. You can see it in an ocean or in your bathtub drain. From moment to moment, the water that makes up the whirlpool is always different. Yet no matter what type of water is thrown into the whirlpool, nor how small or large it gets, it still can be identified as the same whirlpool despite being ever changing. As with all processes, when the whirlpool stops rotating, it ceases to exist. If you want the process to exist, you must feed energy into it. You must rotate the water. A whirlpool is probably the best visual example of a process, but in actuality, everything in life can be understood as a process. The walls in your room, our bodies, the game of tennis. Everything that exists in time and reality can be interpreted as a process because everything is ever changing. Now let's take a look at winning. Author of The Inner Game of Tennis, W. Timothy Gallwey, wrote a profound statement on winning. He says, "Today I play every point to win. It's simple and it's good. I don't worry about winning or losing the match, but whether or not I'm making the maximum effort during every point, because I realize that is where the true value lies." When I say winning, I am not referring to the actual result of winning a tennis match, as Gallwey pointed out. Results are not something that we can truly control in any match. What we can control is our effort. The winning process, the persistent and ongoing awareness that the right thoughts, actions, and effort will lead to a successful and rewarding experience. Winning process examples: allowing yourself to be coached, be humble, listening, learning new techniques, maximizing effort, wanting to work hard, encouraging and supporting your teammates, being resilient, cleaning up after a tennis match, leading by example, being focused on the present. If you're not in the winning process, you'll find yourself in the distraction process. You'll become easily distracted by external events and your own internal thoughts. When you are distracted, you become easy to beat by your opponent simply because your intention is on irrelevance. Distraction process examples: laziness, spacing out, being bored, feeling stupid or awkward, feeling that you're not good enough, being angry at yourself or your teammates, feeling irritated or annoyed by your opponent, letting noises, car alarms, people talking, etc. affect you while playing, expecting to be perfect, focusing on the past or future. Of course, we will at times be in the distraction process. It's okay. We are not perfect. The key is the ability to refocus. If you find yourself in the distraction process, accept it. Simply notice. Then recommit your thoughts and actions back to the winning process. The more you refocus, the more you will find clarity and a better understanding of what to do in your tennis match. Okay, that is chapter 1. We'll just go over chapter 1. Okay, that is it. And let me bring up my slides. Where's my slides? Okay. Chapter 1. All right. So any initial comments, questions, anything you want to discuss initially after that chapter? Well, did that make sense? Made sense to everybody? Okay. All right, no questions, comments? Okay, so let's begin with a discussion question. So how do you focus? I want to know, how do you focus? What are some of the strategies that you use to stay focused or help others to focus better? So there are, many different strategies that we all use. But I like to hear from you, like how do you focus? How do you start focusing yourself, whether it be homework, you're working on a project at work? How do you start to focus?